Welcome back to AF Tales. In today's story, a man agrees to give his girlfriend space, then finds out she used that space to get engaged to someone else. As you listen, think about where you would draw the line between privacy and the right to tell the truth. My girlfriend said, "I need some space." I replied, "Congrats, Hannah." Then I went no contact. 3 weeks later, posted one screenshot under her engagement photo, and I just watched as her mindset coach fiancé's timeline fell apart online. I'm still shaking as I say this because 3 weeks ago I thought I was about to propose to the woman I loved. My name is Ryan. I'm 31 and I live in Austin. Hannah and I had been together for 5 years. We lived together for the last 2. We had this small apartment we built a routine in. Groceries on Sundays, our favorite takeout on Fridays, and the kind of comfort I used to think meant we were doing things right. Hannah was finishing law school this spring. We talked about rings, not in some fairy tale way, just in a practical, grown-up way. Like, okay, after graduation, we take that next step. Then one random Tuesday night she came home from a study group looking serious. She sat on the couch and held her hands together like she had rehearsed it. She said, "Ryan, I've been thinking a lot. I feel like I'm losing myself in this relationship. I need some space to figure out who I am." I just stared at her. We hadn't been fighting. Nothing felt broken. At least not to me. She said she still loved me. She said she needed time alone to grow before committing to anything permanent. Here's a hard truth. When someone drops a life-changing sentence in a calm voice, it can confuse you more than yelling ever could. I didn't want to be controlling. I didn't want to be the guy who argues someone into staying, so I did what I thought a mature partner does. I said, "Of course, whatever you need." The next day, she moved out while I was at work. She said it would be too emotional to do it together. She left a note saying she needed zero contact during this time because talking would make it harder, and I respected it. I deleted Instagram. I deleted Facebook. I threw myself into work. I started therapy because losing Hannah didn't just hurt. It made me feel unsteady, like the ground shifted and I couldn't find my balance. My therapist told me grief was normal. Giving someone space can be healthy. I actually felt proud of myself for handling it without begging or blowing up. Then 3 weeks later, my coworker Jake sent me a screenshot. "Dude," he wrote, "isn't this your ex?" There was Hannah, glowing in a white dress, holding hands with a guy I'd never seen before. It was an engagement photo. The caption said, "She said yes. Can't wait to spend forever with my soulmate." Posted 12 hours ago. My brain did that thing where it stops working, like it's trying to protect you by freezing time. I scrolled the comments. People were congratulating them, asking about wedding plans, calling them couple goals. Then someone asked how long they'd been together. The guy, Ethan, replied, "When you know, we've been inseparable for months." Months. I stared at that word like it was the whole story, and then, like a bad puzzle piece snapping into place, I remembered the week before Hannah asked for space. Movie nights where she was texting constantly, smiling at her phone, saying it was just study group stuff. I clicked Ethan's profile. 500,000 followers. Mindset coach. Empowerment entrepreneur. His posts were all deep-sounding quotes over sunset photos. Break limiting patterns. Step into your authentic power. That's when it hit me. She didn't need space. She needed me out of the way. I sat there for an hour staring at that engagement photo, replaying our last conversation, trying to figure out how I missed it. And a small part of me kept whispering that maybe I was overreacting, maybe I misunderstood, maybe I should stay quiet. That whisper is what manipulation feeds on. It turns your own mind into a courtroom where you are always on trial. Then I did something that felt simple and honest in the moment. I commented, "Congratulations, Hannah." 2 words. And right after that, I posted a screenshot of our text messages from the week before she left. The ones where she told me she loved me, but needed time to find herself. The ones dated 3 days before she got engaged to someone else. I didn't write a paragraph. I didn't call her names. I didn't expose private details beyond the basic fact that she lied. I went to bed thinking maybe 5 people would see it. I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. My comment had thousands of likes. People were sharing it everywhere. They were dissecting the dates like detectives. They were calling her out, not for falling in love, but for the way she ended things like I was a project she needed to quietly remove. And suddenly, I wasn't just a guy with a broken heart. I was a screenshot on the internet. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want internet fame. I didn't want strangers chanting my name like I won some contest. I just wanted to stop feeling crazy. Because for 3 weeks I'd been telling myself I failed as a boyfriend, that I wasn't enough, that I pushed her away by being too steady, too normal, too something. But those dates told the truth. I wasn't losing my mind, I was being played. Within a day, people were messaging me constantly. Some were supportive, some were aggressive. Some were trying to hunt down Hannah's life like it was a sport, and that's where I drew a line. Even hurt, I didn't want a mob, I wanted clarity. Hannah tried to control the story with a public post. She wrote something like, "Relationships are complicated, people grow apart, she was never dishonest, she wished me well." The internet did not buy it. People started digging into Ethan, and what came out made my stomach turn. Women began sharing stories that sounded almost identical: long-term relationships, wedding plans. Then Ethan shows up, framed as a mentor, a guide, someone who helps you transform. He convinces them they are settling. That comfort is a trap. That leaving is growth. Then once they leave, once the excitement fades, he moves on to the next person. I saw clips from his old podcast where he talked about people in committed relationships being ready for transformation, and how you don't tell them to leave directly, you just show them what they're missing. It sounded less like love and more like a sales strategy. This is where it stopped being a cheating story and started sounding like a pattern of harm. News outlets reached out. A morning show wanted an interview. Someone mentioned a book deal. Someone mentioned documentary rights. I turned it all down at first because it felt wrong to profit off something that still hurt. But then the consequences hit Hannah and Ethan, and that's when I started feeling something I didn't expect. Guilt. Hannah lost an internship because her conduct was making the firm look bad. Her school reviewed her standing. Ethan's sponsors started backing away. His speaking events got canceled. His follower count dropped as more stories came out. My therapist said something that stuck with me. "You told the truth. You did not create the outcome. Their choices did." That should have made me feel lighter. It didn't. Because even when you are right, watching someone's life collapse is heavy, especially when you once pictured building a life with them. After a while, the internet moved on. It took weeks, but the storm faded like all storms do. Hannah and Ethan's engagement posts vanished. I didn't check if they broke up. I stopped looking. And then, after a lot of therapy sessions where I talked in circles, I finally understood something. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was disoriented. Betrayal isn't only pain, it's confusion. It makes you question your memory, your judgment, your ability to read people at all. So when that publishing agent reached out again, I called her back. Not for attention. For closure I could build myself. I wrote a book. I called it 2 words, congratulations. It wasn't a revenge story, it wasn't a tell-all. It was a guide for people who have been gaslit into thinking they're crazy when the timeline doesn't make sense. It did better than anyone expected. It hit bestseller lists. It got an audiobook. But the part that mattered most was the messages. People wrote me saying, "This happened to me and I thought it was my fault." People wrote me saying, "I finally trusted my gut." People wrote me saying, "Your calm response gave me permission to stop begging for answers." That's when I started speaking at conferences. Not as a celebrity, but as someone who learned something painful and didn't want others to feel that same spiral. At one of those events in Denver, I met Dr. Claire Monroe. She's a trauma therapist who specializes in betrayal recovery. She didn't treat me like a headline. She treated me like a human being. We talked after my presentation. That turned into coffee. Coffee turned into long conversations about boundaries, healing, and what healthy love looks like when it's not a performance. Being with Claire felt different in a way I didn't know I needed. No games, no guessing, no hidden tests. If you've ever been betrayed, you know how rare it feels to relax again. I moved to Denver. I worked remotely. I spoke at conferences a couple times a month. Claire and I took things slow. No rushing, no proving, just building. Somewhere in all of that, I heard through mutual friends that Hannah and Ethan's relationship imploded about 6 weeks after the engagement announcement. Once the attention died down, Ethan lost interest. Hannah tried to reach out through a mutual friend to clear the air. I declined. Not out of rage, out of peace. Because closure doesn't come from the person who broke you. It comes from the moment you stop waiting for them to fix it. 1.5 years passed. My life looked nothing like it did on that Tuesday night Hannah sat on our couch and asked for space. Claire and I got engaged last month, quietly, on a hike, no cameras, no big post, just a moment where we both knew we were ready. The book kept helping people. I still get emails from readers who say it helped them recognize manipulation patterns early or trust their instincts when something felt off. And then yesterday I got an email I didn't expect. The subject line was simple: "I'm sorry, Ryan." It was from Hannah. She wrote that she didn't expect a reply, wasn't asking for forgiveness, just wanted me to know I deserved better. She said she was in therapy now, trying to understand why she made the choices she made. She said she hoped I found happiness. I stared at it for a long time. 1 year ago, that apology would have felt like victory, or a wound finally being acknowledged. Now it just felt sad. Not because I missed her, because it took her that long to see what she did clearly. I didn't reply, not because I'm angry, because that chapter is closed. Claire and I talked about it over dinner. She reminded me that forgiveness doesn't mean reopening the door. It just means you stop carrying someone else's choices like weight in your own life. And she was right. I don't need Hannah to know I forgave her. It's enough that I did. Claire and I are planning a small wedding next fall. We're also starting a nonprofit focused on betrayal recovery and manipulation awareness because there's a real need for resources that help people spot emotional games before they lose themselves inside them. So that's where this ends. She found her space. I found my peace. Lesson 1: when someone asks for space but demands total silence, pay attention. Space is not a license to rewrite the truth. Lesson 2: calm betrayal can still be betrayal. A soft voice does not make a hard lie harmless. Lesson 3: if the timeline doesn't add up, trust that feeling. Confusion is often the first alarm bell. Lesson 4: telling the truth is not the same as being cruel. Facts are not revenge. Lesson 5: closure is not something someone gives you. It's something you choose when you stop chasing answers from the person who hurt you. What would you have done if you saw that engagement post after being asked for space? And do you think Ryan was wrong for posting the screenshots? Or was it the only way to stop being gaslit by the story Hannah wanted him to believe?